The cruelest voice you have ever heard, the one that critiques, doubts, and judges you without mercy, doesn't live next door. It lives between your own ears. But what if you could sign a peace treaty with it, starting today? If you are tired of fighting a war that nobody else can see, then know that your arrival here is an act of grace. You are ready for peace. Stay with me, subscribe to the hidden voice, and together, we will not defeat this enemy. We will transform it into your greatest ally. Part 1. The Pain of the Inner Battlefield. Let's start right here, in the trenches. Let's acknowledge the reality of this war. It begins the moment you wake up. Before your feet even touch the floor, the first salvos are fired. The inner commentator goes online. The strategic analyst begins running threat assessments. The to-do list becomes a list of impending failures. The memory of yesterday's mistake is replayed in high definition. It's a voice, isn't it? Or a stream of voices. There's the inner critic, the perfectionist drill sergeant who points out every flaw, magnifies every error, and compares you unfavorably to everyone else. You're not doing enough, it says. That was a stupid thing to say. You're going to fail. Then there's the worrier, the anxious strategist who games out every possible catastrophic future. It takes a tiny seed of doubt and grows it into a forest of disaster. It rehearses arguments that will never happen, prepares for tragedies that are statistically impossible, and keeps your body clenched in a state of constant, low-grade preparation for an impact that never comes. And perhaps the most exhausting of all, there is simply the noise, the relentless, meaningless chatter, the radio station you can't turn off. Fragments of songs, old conversations, mental replays, obsessive planning, all churning, churning, churning in a ceaseless loop. And you, where are you in all of this? You are the soldier. The one-person army, fighting on every front. You spend your precious life force arguing with these voices. You try to reason with them, to silence them, to outthink them. You build elaborate arguments in your head, defending your own worthiness against your own prosecution. You try to replace the negative thoughts with positive ones, a desperate game of mental whack-a-mole that leaves you utterly drained. The exhaustion is bone deep. It's an invisible labor that you perform 24 hours a day. People look at you and see a calm exterior, but inside, you are running a marathon, fighting a battle, directing a frantic air traffic control tower of thoughts. You feel betrayed. This mind, this brilliant instrument that can solve problems, learn languages, and appreciate beauty, feels like it has been hijacked by a cruel and insane tyrant. And that tyrant is you. Or so you believe. This is the loneliest war in the world, because the battlefield is confined to the space of your own skull. And the central pain, the deepest agony of it all, is the feeling that you cannot escape your own mind. You cannot get away from the one tormentor who knows all of your secrets, all of your fears, and all of your weaknesses. You lie down at night and the battle rages on. And the desperate prayer underneath it all is simply, please, just make it stop. Part 2. You are not your mind. Now, I want you to take a breath and listen very closely, because I am about to offer you the master key that unlocks the door to your own prison cell. It is the most simple, profound, and revolutionary truth you will ever integrate. Are you ready? You are not your mind. Let that sink past the noise. Let it land in a deeper place. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not that critical voice, or that anxious voice, or that relentless inner commentator. The war you have been fighting is based on a case of mistaken identity. You have confused yourself, the experiencer, with the experience. You have mistaken yourself, the thinker, with the thoughts. So if you are not your mind, then what is it? Think of it this way. The mind is a biological supercomputer. It is an organ, just like your heart or your liver. Its primary job, hardwired into it by millions of years of evolution, is survival. It is a threat detection machine. It scans the past for painful memories, and it scans the future for potential dangers, all in a deeply ingrained mechanical effort to keep you, the organism, safe. It is a tool. A magnificent, powerful, and deeply flawed tool. It has been programmed by everything you have ever experienced: your childhood, your culture, your education, your traumas. And now, that programming runs on autopilot. The war does not begin because the mind produces thoughts. The mind producing thoughts is as natural as the heart beating. The war begins at the exact moment you believe that you are the thoughts. The war begins when you, the conscious being, identify with the output of the machine. Let's use a different metaphor. This is the most important one you will ever learn. Imagine that you are the sky. Vast, open, clear, silent, and boundless. You have always been the sky, and you will always be the sky. Your nature is peace. Your nature is stillness. And your thoughts, your emotions, your moods, they are the weather. Sometimes, the weather is beautiful. Sunny thoughts, gentle breezes of happiness, fluffy white clouds of inspiration. And on those days, you gladly say, "I am this beautiful day." But then, the weather changes. Dark storm clouds of anxiety roll in. The cold, sharp rain of self-criticism begins to fall. The violent winds of anger or fear howl through. And on those days, you say, "I am this storm. I am this darkness. I am this pain." You believe you are the weather. And you suffer immensely, because the weather is always changing, always turbulent. The entire path to peace, the signing of the peace treaty, lies in this single, radical shift in identity. You stop identifying with the weather, and you remember that you are the sky. The sky does not fight the storm. The sky does not try to argue with the clouds or push them away. The sky does not get damaged by the lightning or bruised by the wind. The sky simply allows the weather to be what it is. It holds it all, in its vast, silent, peaceful embrace, knowing that all weather is temporary. It comes and it goes. The storm will always pass. But the sky remains. The war ends when you stop trying to control the weather, and you learn to rest as the sky. The goal is not to have a mind that is empty of clouds. The goal is to know, with unshakable certainty, that you are the vast, open space in which all the clouds appear and disappear. Peace is not the absence of the storm. Peace is the recognition of your own sky-like nature, right in the middle of it. Part 3. Discovering the Silent Watcher. This idea of being the sky and not the weather can feel like a beautiful poem, but for it to become your reality, you must experience it directly. A concept, no matter how elegant, cannot set you free. Only a direct experience can. So, I invite you now to join me in a short, simple experiment. This isn't about achieving anything. It's an experiment in pure noticing. If you are in a place where you can do so safely, allow your eyes to gently close. Take a slow breath in, and an even slower breath out. And just for a moment, give yourself permission to end the fight. You don't have to win the war, you just have to call a temporary truce. Lay down your mental weapons. The arguments, the justifications, the struggle. Just for this moment. Now, I want you to perform a very simple task. I want you to wait for your next thought. That's all. Don't try to create a thought. Don't try to stop thoughts. Simply adopt the posture of waiting. Become like a cat waiting patiently at a mouse hole. You don't know what kind of mouse will emerge, or when. You are simply alert, present, and waiting. You are the watcher. Your next thought is the object you are watching for. So wait. Maybe a thought has already appeared. This is weird. Am I doing this right? I have to remember to buy milk. Perfect. You saw it. You noticed it. Let it go, and return to waiting for the next one. What do you notice as you wait? You might notice a sense of anticipation. You might notice sounds around you. But what else is there? In the moment just before the thought arrives, what is present? There is a gap, isn't there? A space. A moment of silence. A field of quiet alertness. For a fraction of a second, or perhaps for several seconds, you were simply aware. You were a field of knowing, waiting for something to be known within it. Now, here is the question that changes everything. The thought that eventually arises, and the silent presence that was aware of the thought. Are they the same thing? The thought has a quality. It is made of words, or images. It is noisy. It is active. It comes and it goes. But what about the awareness that noticed it? Did it have words? Was it noisy? Was it moving? Or was it silent, still, and unmoving? You see, the thought is the cloud. The silent, aware presence that noticed the thought, that is the sky. And you have just experienced, directly, that you are not the cloud, but the sky that holds it. Let's try it again. Let a thought come. Any thought. My back itches. And now, notice the thought. And then ask yourself, who is it that knows this thought is here? The answer isn't a word. The answer is a feeling. A presence. It is the silent, background intelligence of your own consciousness. It is the screen upon which the movie of your mind plays. For your entire life, you have been lost in the movie, believing you are one of the characters, caught up in the drama. Now, for the first time, you are becoming aware of the screen itself. This silent watcher, this inner knowing. This is closer to who you truly are than any thought, any emotion, any story the mind can ever tell you. It is not something you have to create. You cannot lose it. It has been here your entire life, patiently waiting underneath the noise of the war. The war ends not when the thoughts stop, but when you shift your allegiance. You stop identifying with the soldiers on the field, the thoughts, and you realize your true identity is the vast, silent, peaceful field itself. Practice this 3, 4, 5 times a day. Just stop and watch for the next thought. Become fascinated by this inner space. This simple act of disidentification is the most powerful act of peacemaking you will ever engage in. Part 4. The lineage of wisdom. This experience you just had, this profound shift from being the thought to being the awareness of the thought, may feel new and revolutionary to you. But what you have just touched is the central discovery of the world's great wisdom traditions. You have not stumbled upon a modern self-help trick. You have stumbled upon the timeless path to inner freedom, mapped for millennia by the most astute explorers of human consciousness. In our modern era, few have articulated this shift more clearly than the teacher Eckhart Tolle. After suffering from years of intense anxiety and suicidal depression, a state of total war with his mind, he had a spontaneous awakening. He realized, as he put it, that he could not live with himself any longer. And in that moment, a question arose. If he could not live with himself, there must be two of him, the I and the self that the I could not live with. And he said, perhaps only one of them is real. This was his discovery of the silent watcher. Tolle famously stated that, the beginning of freedom is the realization that you are not the possessing entity, the thinker. He taught that the root of all suffering is the compulsive identification with the stream of thought, believing that the voice in your head is who you are. The unobserved mind, he says, is what runs your life. That inner war you feel is the pain of the unobserved mind dragging you through its cycles of fear and judgment. The moment you begin to watch the thinker, a higher level of consciousness activates. You are no longer trapped in the content of your mind, you are the silent context for it. But Tolle was a modern voice for an ancient truth. You have just stepped into a river of wisdom that flows through all cultures. In the East, the entire practice of Buddhism is built upon this foundation. The word vipassana, one of its core meditation techniques, means to see things as they really are. It is the practice of observing the raw data of your experience, thoughts, sensations, emotions, without judgment and without identification. The Buddha taught that we suffer because we grasp at what is pleasant and push away what is unpleasant. By learning to simply watch it all arise and pass away, we find a peace that is not dependent on conditions. We find the peace of the sky, which is untroubled by the passing weather. In the even older traditions of Hindu philosophy, specifically Advaita Vedanta, this silent watcher is called the Sakshi, which literally means the witness. The great sages taught that our true self is not the body, not the mind, not the personality, but this pure, unchanging witness consciousness. They taught that liberation comes from ceasing to identify with the small, egoic self, the thought stream, and realizing one's true nature as the vast, universal witness, which is one with God, or Brahman. And lest you think this is purely an Eastern idea, the same discovery was made by the great philosophers of the West. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, built their entire system of profound resilience on this very principle. They taught that we are not disturbed by events in the world, but by our judgments about those events, that is, by our thoughts. Their practice was to constantly create a space between an outer event and their inner reaction, to observe their own judgments without automatically believing them. This space is the home of the silent watcher. It is what Marcus Aurelius called the inner citadel, a fortress of peace that no external chaos could ever breach. So you see, this is not a personal psychological trick. It is the shared inheritance of humanity's deepest spiritual and philosophical genius. The path out of the war has always been the same. You must realize you are not the soldier, nor the enemy. You are the silent, spacious peace that was here before the battle began, and will be here long after it is over. Part 5. The Parable of the General in the Empty Room. To fully grasp the magnitude of this shift from identifying with thought to observing it, let's explore it through a story. A parable for our modern times. Let us imagine a man we will call the General. The General is a master strategist. He has spent his entire life in a single, sealed room. But this is no ordinary room. It is the most advanced combat simulator ever created. The walls are seamless, hyper-realistic screens. The sound system is perfectly immersive. From the moment he was old enough to think, his only reality has been the simulation. His mission, he was told, was to survive and to win. Every day, the simulation throws new enemies at him. Armies swarm over the digital hills. Dangers lurk in the virtual forests. Threats emerge from the pixelated sky. The simulation is relentless, and it is brilliant. It uses his own past failures to create future enemies. It analyzes his fears and projects them onto the screens as terrifying monsters. And the General is a warrior. He fights with everything he has. He spends his days strategizing, planning, fighting, hiding, and attacking. He never rests. His nervous system is perpetually on high alert. His mind is a whirlwind of threat assessments, tactical plans, and painful replays of his defeats. He is exhausted, traumatized, and utterly alone in his endless battle. The war is his entire world. He knows nothing else. He believes, with every fiber of his being, in the reality of the danger. He wins some battles, he loses others. But the war is never, ever over. As soon as one army is defeated, another appears on the horizon. His life is a state of perpetual conflict. Then, one day, something happens that is not part of the simulation. A new sound is heard. The sound of a key turning in a lock. A door he never knew existed begins to swing open, flooding the dark room with a soft, warm, natural light he has never seen before. A gentle-faced woman steps into the room. She is not part of the simulation. She doesn't carry a weapon. She looks at the frantic, battle-worn General with eyes full of compassion. She walks past him to the back wall and, with a simple flick of a switch, she turns off the projector. And in an instant, the world ends. The thundering armies vanish. The terrifying monsters dissolve into nothing. The cacophony of war is replaced by a profound and absolute silence. The images on the walls disappear, revealing them to be simple, plain, white walls. The General stands there, trembling, in the sudden silence of the empty room. He looks at his hands, still ready to fight. He looks at the blank walls. He looks at the woman. He doesn't understand. "Where did they go?" he whispers. "The enemies, where are they?" The woman smiles gently and says, "There were never any enemies, General. There was only the simulation. There was only ever the projection. You have been fighting shadows your entire life. All this time, you have been here, alone, and perfectly safe, in this quiet, empty room. You are the General. Your mind is the combat simulator. The constant stream of fearful, critical, and anxious thoughts are the projections on the screen. And for your entire life, you have believed that they were real, that they were an external threat you had to fight. The practice of observing your thoughts, of becoming the silent watcher, is the act of finding the woman with the key. It is the beginning of realizing that it's all a projection. The thoughts are not a real threat. They are just old data, old fears, old programming being projected onto the screen of your consciousness. The moment of peace, the end of the war, is not when you finally defeat the last army on the screen. That day will never come, because the simulator is designed to create endless enemies. The peace comes in the stunning, paradigm-shattering moment you realize that it is, and has always been, a simulation, and that you are not the soldier in the simulation. You are the silent, safe, untouched occupant of the room itself. Part 6. The New Command. Do you feel the truth of that story in your bones? Do you recognize yourself as the general, fighting so valiantly against shadows on a screen? If this parable illuminates the truth of your own struggle, then I want to invite you to officially join this community of peacemakers. This channel, The Hidden Voice, is a training ground for those who are ready to step out of the simulation. By subscribing, you are declaring your readiness to end the inner war and to learn the tools of conscious awareness. You add your energy to a growing collective that is choosing peace over conflict and presence over pathology. But watching is not enough. We have reached the pivot point of our time together. We have seen the truth. We have felt the possibility of peace. Now, we must make a conscious choice. We must issue a new command to ourselves. For your entire life, your default command when a negative thought appeared has been, fight. You have met criticism with counter-argument. You have met fear with resistance. You have met anxiety with struggle. You have been meeting the mind on its own terms, on the battlefield it designed. And as long as you do that, the mind will always win because the battlefield is the mind. The only way to win is to refuse to play the game. So now, we will consciously install a new default command. An act of profound wisdom and gentle power. This is the internal pivot that changes everything. I invite you, from the quiet center of your being, from the place of the silent watcher you have now discovered, to make this inner declaration. Take a deep, peaceful breath. And as you exhale, establish this new protocol within yourself. From this moment on, when my mind presents me with a fearful thought, a critical thought, or a painful memory, my first response will not be to fight it. My first response will be to notice it. I will see the thought, not as an order from my commanding officer, but as a piece of data appearing on a screen. I will see it not as the truth, but as a thought. Arising. I will meet the armies of my mind not with a sword, but with a silent, spacious, loving awareness. Let's deepen this new command. Let's give it a voice of compassion. When the inner critic appears and tells you that you are not good enough, instead of arguing, you will take a breath, and you will say to it internally, with a gentle firmness, I see you, thought. Thank you for sharing. But I am not you. I am the space that sees you. When the worrier appears with its visions of catastrophe, instead of being swept away by the fear, you will take a breath and say to it, I see you, thought. I recognize your intention is to protect me. Thank you. But I am choosing to stay here, in the safety of the present moment. Do you feel the radical shift in this? You are not suppressing the thought. You are not fighting it. You are disarming it with your presence. You are meeting the terrified soldier with the calm, compassionate gaze of the general who knows the war isn't real. You are reparenting your own mind. You are teaching your own inner watchdog that it can finally stand down, that the threat it perceives is just a shadow on the wall. This is your new command. From fight to I see you. From resist to thank you. From being a soldier in the war to being the peace that holds the war. This is the vow you make to yourself today. It is the beginning of the end of the war. It is the beginning of your great homecoming to the quiet, empty room of your own being. Part 7. the scared watchdog. You have made the pivotal choice. You have issued the new command, from fight to I see you. In doing so, you have walked off the battlefield. But to make this peace permanent, we must cultivate a deeper understanding of the enemy we have been fighting. For it was never an enemy at all. We must learn to see the mind not as a tyrant to be overthrown, but as a loyal and deeply misguided servant to be retrained. Think of your mind, specifically, the part of it that generates the incessant stream of worry and criticism, as a highly trained guard dog. A dog that was trained, from its very first day, for one purpose and one purpose only, to protect you. Its training manual was written by millions of years of evolution. This manual taught it that the world is a dangerous place. That survival depends on hypervigilance. That it's better to mistake a stick for a snake 100 times, than to mistake a snake for a stick just once. Its core programming is, fundamentally, fear. Be on alert. Scan for threats. Replay past attacks so you can avoid them in the future. For most of human history, this programming was incredibly useful. It kept our ancestors alive in a world of predators and immediate physical dangers. The problem is that ancient software is still running in your 21st century brain. But now, the predators it scans for are not saber-toothed tigers. They are social rejection, professional failure, public embarrassment, and emotional pain. So the watchdog paces back and forth in your head, on high alert. When it barks at you, you're going to make a fool of yourself in that presentation. It isn't trying to be cruel. It is trying to protect you from the perceived death of social humiliation. It's pulling on your leash to stop you from walking toward a perceived threat. When it dredges up the memory of a painful breakup from 10 years ago, it isn't trying to torment you. It's replaying the threat data and saying, "See what happened last time? Be careful. Don't get hurt like that again." The mind is not malicious. It is mechanical. It is a loyal, but terrified, guard dog, barking at shadows, convinced that it is protecting its beloved master. And what have we done our whole lives? We have yelled at the dog. Shut up. Be quiet. You're bad. When you fight with your mind, when you berate yourself for having anxious or negative thoughts, you are attacking your own security system. You are punishing the loyal dog for doing the only job it knows how to do. And what does a dog do when it is attacked? It becomes more anxious, more agitated. It barks louder. The more you fight your mind, the more you feed its fear, the more you validate its belief that there really is a threat. The battle itself becomes the proof of danger. You are wrestling with your own guard dog, and the only result is a chaotic, exhausted household. The practice of becoming the silent watcher changes this entire dynamic. You stop being the person wrestling with the dog. You become the calm, loving master who can see that the dog is just scared. When the dog barks a fearful thought, you don't beat it. You don't even try to silence it. You simply turn to it, with your calm, loving presence, and you say, "I see you. Thank you. I know you're trying to protect me. But we are safe now." You are reassuring your own nervous system. You are reparenting your own mind with the compassionate authority of your deeper awareness. Over time, something miraculous happens. The dog, feeling seen and reassured, begins to relax. It realizes it doesn't need to be on high alert every single second. It starts to learn the difference between a real tiger and a shadow on the wall. The barking becomes less frequent, less frantic. It may never fall completely silent. It's still a dog, after all, but it no longer runs the house. It lies down at your feet, content and at peace, ready to serve you when you actually need it, rather than constantly tormenting you with its fear. This is the goal. Not to kill the watchdog, but to befriend it. To transform it from a source of terror into a source of wisdom, turning its raw fear into refined intuition, all through the gentle, persistent power of your loving, non-judgmental presence. Part 8. Training for peace. This shift from fighting the mind to befriending it is the most important skill you will ever learn. But it is a skill. It requires practice. The old habit of warfare is a deeply grooved neural pathway. We must now consciously and deliberately carve new pathways of peace. These are not more tasks to add to your mental to-do list. Think of them as daily rituals of peace. They are exercises for the muscle of your awareness, making it stronger and more resilient. The first ritual, labeling the clouds. This is a simple, powerful, on-the-go practice of disidentification. The moment you notice you are lost in a storm of thought, caught in a loop of worry, or a spiral of self-criticism, your ritual is to gently, and without judgment, label the activity. Internally, just say one word to yourself. If you are lost in rehearsing a future conversation, you simply notice and label, planning. If you are lost in replaying an old mistake, you label, remembering. If you are judging yourself or someone else, you label, judging. If you are anxious about what might happen, you label, worrying. See what this does. The act of labeling immediately lifts you out of the content of the thought and places you back in the seat of the observer. You are no longer in the cloud. You are the sky, noticing, oh, that's a worrying cloud. You are not the story. You are the one who notices the story. It breaks the spell of identification instantly. You don't need to change the thought or fix it. You just label it. This simple act starves the thought of the one thing it needs to survive: your unconscious belief in it. The second ritual, the thank you mind reframe. This ritual deepens the compassionate approach to your own mind. It is a direct application of seeing the mind as the scared watchdog. When your mind serves up a particularly scary or painful thought, you're going to get sick, they're going to leave you, you will end up alone. The old way was to panic or resist. The new ritual is to pause, take a breath, and speak to your mind directly, as you would to a frightened child. Internally, you say, thank you, mind. I see that you are presenting this scenario to try and protect me from future pain. I appreciate your vigilance and your intention to keep me safe. I really do. However, right now, in this actual moment, I am safe. I am here. Your services are not needed. I am choosing to place my attention on the peace of this present moment. This is a profoundly transformative act. You are validating the mind's intention, which calms its fearful energy. You are exercising your authority as the master, the conscious chooser. And you are gently redirecting your focus. You are not fighting. You are acknowledging, thanking, and redirecting. This practice, over time, rewires the entire relationship. You move from being the mind's victim to its compassionate leader. The third ritual, the anchor of sensation. The mind's battlefield is the realm of the abstract, the past and the future. The body, however, exists only in the present moment. The fastest way to get out of the war in your head is to drop anchor into the reality of your body. This ritual can be done anywhere, anytime, in under 30 seconds. The moment you feel the battle raging, you consciously choose one physical sensation and pour 100% of your attention into it. It could be the feeling of your feet flat on the floor. Don't just think about your feet. Feel them. Feel the texture of your socks. Feel the pressure on your heels, on the balls of your feet. Feel the solidness of the ground beneath you. It could be the sensation of air entering and leaving your nostrils. Feel the coolness of the in-breath and the slight warmth of the out-breath. Notice the tiny hairs in your nose. It could be a sound. The hum of a computer. A bird singing outside your window. The sound of your own breathing. Listen to it as if it were the most beautiful music you have ever heard. For those 30 seconds, you are not in the past or the future. You are not in the story. You are radically present. You have dropped anchor out of the storm of thought and into the calm harbor of direct sensory experience. It is an escape hatch that is always available to you. The more you use it, the easier it becomes to access, providing you with instant moments of peace, anytime, anywhere. Part 9. The liberated energy. You have learned the rituals of peace. You have practiced seeing the mind not as an enemy, but as a misguided protector. You have started to shift your identity from the soldier in the battle to the silent, spacious battlefield itself. And now we must ask a crucial question. What happens to all the energy that was once consumed by the war? Think of the sheer amount of life force you have expended in this inner conflict. Imagine it as a literal energy budget. 4 years, perhaps your entire life, 80 or 90% of your daily energy has been allocated to the Department of Defense. To fighting imaginary battles, to arguing with the inner critic, to managing the anxious strategist, to suppressing painful memories. It has been the single largest expenditure in your personal energetic economy. This is why you have felt so tired. This is why you may have struggled to create, to connect, to be truly present in your own life. Your power, your vitality, your precious attention has been hijacked, requisitioned for a war effort that had no end. The moment you truly begin to embody the role of the silent watcher, you are, in essence, defunding that department. You are signing an executive order that ceases all hostilities. And suddenly, all of that energy, all of that creative life force, has nowhere to go. It is liberated. It is returned to you, the conscious ruler of your inner kingdom. And this is where the real magic begins. This is the great secret that no one tells you about ending the inner war. The goal is not just to feel peaceful. The peace is the foundation. The true gift is what you can now do with all that liberated energy. Imagine the general, after the simulator has been turned off. For the first time, he is not planning a defense or mourning a defeat. He walks out of the empty room and into the real world. He feels the warmth of the actual sun on his face. He sees the vibrant colors of a flower. He hears the genuine laughter of a child. All of his senses, previously dedicated to threat detection, are now free to simply perceive, to enjoy, to connect. The intelligence that he once used to predict enemy movements, he can now use to design a beautiful garden. The strategic mind that he used to plan counterassaults, he can now use to start a business, to learn a new language, to solve a real-world problem that actually matters. The passion he once had for battle can be transmuted into a passion for art, for service, for love. This is what is waiting for you. The energy that was fueling your anxiety is the raw fuel of your excitement. The energy that was powering your self-criticism is the raw fuel of your discernment and creativity. The energy that was sustaining your obsessive planning is the raw fuel of your focus and manifestation. It was never bad energy. It was just trapped in the wrong job. It was good energy being used for a destructive purpose. By ending the war, you are not becoming passive or lazy. You are becoming infinitely more effective. You are taking your most powerful asset, your attention, your consciousness, and freeing it from the prison of mental conflict. You can now place that attention where you choose. You can now invest that liberated energy into building the life you actually want, rather than just defending yourself against the life you fear. The end of the war is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of the life you were actually meant to live. Part 10. The Victory of Surrender. And so we come to the end of our journey together today. But it is truly the beginning for you. We have explored the battle. We have seen the case of mistaken identity. We have learned the tools of the peacekeeper. And now, we must arrive at the final, transformative epiphany. The one that allows the peace to settle into your bones and become your new home. Come back, right now, to this present moment. Feel the air in your lungs. Feel the life in your body. And bring your awareness to the inner space of your mind. Perhaps it is quiet right now. Perhaps there are still thoughts moving through it. It doesn't matter. For your entire life, peace has felt like a goal to be achieved. A distant shore you had to fight your way toward. You believed that peace would arrive after you finally silenced your mind, after you finally fixed your flaws, after you finally won the war. You have been striving, struggling, and fighting for peace. And here is the final, beautiful, paradoxical truth. Peace was never the prize waiting for you at the end of the war. Peace is what happens when you finally stop fighting. That's it. That is the whole secret. You don't have to win. You just have to stop. Feel into the energy of that. The energy of the fight. The clenching. The resisting. The arguing. The tension of holding the rope in the tug-of-war with your own mind. You pull, it pulls back. The struggle is endless. The epiphany, the true moment of victory, is the realization that you can simply let go of the rope. Just drop it. When a critical thought arises, you just let it go. You don't engage. You don't argue. You don't believe it. You don't resist it. You let it be there, like a cloud passing in the sky, and you let go of the rope. When a wave of anxiety comes, you don't fight it. You don't try to push it down or reason it away. You let yourself feel the raw energy of it in your body, and you let go of the rope of mental storytelling that fuels it. The war ends, not with a bang, but with a release. A sigh. The profound relaxation of unconditional surrender. You are not surrendering to your mind. You are surrendering the fight with your mind. And in that surrender, you discover a peace that was always already here, waiting patiently beneath the noise of the battle. The mind may not go silent. The dog may still bark from time to time. But you are no longer on the battlefield, engaged in the fray. You have retired. You have moved your residency from the war room to the peace of your own heart. You are watching it all from a place of deep, unshakable stillness. You have not defeated the enemy. You have realized there never was one. There was only ever the weather. And you have finally remembered that you are the sky. There is no victory greater than this. This peace you feel right now is your true nature. It is not a fleeting state, it is your home. If this journey has provided you with a map back to this home, then help us share it with others who are still lost on the battlefield. Subscribe to The Hidden Voice. Like and share this treaty of peace. Every act of engagement helps to build a global community of individuals who are choosing presence over panic, awareness over anxiety, and peace over war. Thank you for your immense courage. Thank you for being willing to lay down your arms. Go now, and live as the peace you have discovered you always were.